Well, at the time of this recording, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, is in theaters. And in my familiar after action review format in which I name my ups, downs, and improvements to make things better or what could be done better. Uh let's just say that I had to see the film for myself because I don't pay attention to what critics say. I don't care about what Rotten Tomatoes reviews say. Got experience for myself. And then after watching it, I'm just gonna get right into it. Got my notepad right here. Let's just dive right into it, man, shall we? Now here are my personal ups. You ready for it? There was only three good things about this movie. Jonathan Majors as Kang. Jonathan Majors as Kang. And Jonathan Majors as Kang. I know I said that Marvel has been lacking in their villains department. And Jonathan Majors, as I stated before in my last video, when I talked about the Phase 4, my AAR on that, I said that Jonathan Majors, he is a hell of a good addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Excuse me, tongue-tied here. Good addition to that. Ever since he was introduced as He Who Remains in Loki Season 1. And once Sylvie killed him, you knew there was going to be some shit that was going to go down later on. Now that the main timeline's broken, this, that, and the third, or whatever. But Majors brings a very intimidating presence to this film as Kang. I mean, I'm just going to say this much, because I'm trying not to give away too much about the film. So consider yourself warned, because there might be a little smaller spoilers in there if I throw them in there, but I'm going to do my best not to get too much into it. But if Jonathan Majors was ever cast as a pimp in a future film, you could definitely see pimp qualities in him in this film. Because let's say when one of his subordinates speaks while he's interrogating Ant-Man, he just uses his force powers, a la Star Wars, throws him against the wall and says, "You don't speak when I'm in the room." I like the fact with him as a villain, he doesn't lose his cool, he doesn't lose his temper, he is calm. Even when he's interrogating Scott Lang and tells him, "Yo man, look here, you're gonna give me what I want." Okay, Scott goes, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that." "Okay, hold on. Use my force pull you to this glass." "Bro, you gonna give me what I want." His daughter Cassie over there talking, "Leave my dad alone." He turns around and said, "Okay, you wanna talk? Okay, I got something for you too." Uses his little force pushing powers, whatever, has her against the wall and says, "All right, Ant-Man, let me make myself clear. You're gonna do what I tell you to do, or I'm going to unalive your daughter and I'm gonna make you watch. And I'm gonna put that shit on repeat and keep making you watch until you do what I want." And I'm going, wow. Just that presence alone is like, yeah, okay, Kang is something serious. But at the same time, I feel that the character of Kang was misplaced in this film, which segues into my downs. And I'll be honest with you, I do my best to try to enjoy what Marvel is putting out post-Endgame, but it's hard to do that when it leads into my first segue right here, the comedy. I understand Ant-Man is not as of a serious character, nobody takes him seriously, but the trailer is misleading, making us think there's some high stakes. And I'm here to tell you, no high stakes here. Everything is laughs, 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 joke, joke, joke. Next, a cameo by Bill Murray. Bill Murray's cameo was not needed for this film. As a matter of fact, you know that when your film or when the directors do not have enough confidence in their films, they figure, hey, let's bring in a cameo of a A-list star that'll and hopefully it'll work. But it doesn't work here. His character didn't serve any purpose to me at all. When they get to the quantum realm, which is on my third down, the CGI was just straight doo-doo. It looked like walking diarrhea on the screen. I'm sorry to say that. No disrespect to the CG team, but if you were doing a big budget film like this and hyping it up, the CG should have been way better. Because there's points in this film I'm just going, this is entirely too freaking much. And speaking of when they get to the quantum realm, another one of my downs, you could actually tell that in this film, they heavily borrowed elements from other sci-fi based shows and films. I saw hints of Star Wars in there, Lord of the Rings in there, Shark Boy and Lava Girl in there. What's the other one? Spy Kids 3D in there. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And a little bit of Rick and Morty in there. Let me just say, in Rick and Morty, they have a council of Ricks who are afraid of this one Rick that could kill them all. So take that with a grain of salt any way you want to. It just, like, good grief. Okay, fuck it. They got a council of Kangs in there that exiled the Kang in this movie to the quantum realm because, well, they didn't like him and they were afraid of what he could do. And that's about as far as that goes with that. They didn't like him. Same way with the council of Ricks and Rick and Morty. This one Rick, well, all these Ricks don't like each other, but when it comes to this one Rick, they're like, yeah, he could totally fuck things up if he really wanted to. Sorry, excuse my language, but you can tell my frustration right about now with the MCU is like over 9,000 like in Dragon Ball Z. It really is. I'm just really being honest how I felt after watching this. And then, MODOK. Now, if you don't know by now, and I'm pretty sure people have read the spoilers and seen videos on YouTube already, but MODOK is in here. But the CGI used on MODOK, oh my God, even MODOK was a joke in here. MODOK was actually Darren Cross from the first movie. And they don't even do a build-up to it. It's like, Darren, is that you? And then as soon as the mask comes up, you just see this. See how my face is right here with the camera? That's exactly all you see. Nothing but face the whole time. Do it again. Nothing but face the whole time. See how annoying that is? You probably see hairs up on those too. That's how big they made that man's face. And I'm going, with the CG, that was some bullshit and they know it. Like, that is just awful. And MODOK was treated like a joke in this. And that's another thing I hate is when they bring back villains from older movies and TV shows. And again, same thing that happened with Abomination and She-Hulk. He was supposed to be this intimidating figure, but then when you bring him in She-Hulk, well, actually go back to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, he's a joke now. He could be easily taken down. Like, what gives? And now all of a sudden, he writes a letter to the Hulk, and She-Hulk can say, I'm sorry I tried to kill you in Harlem, and I'm a different person, I do therapy, and I'm like, you know what, whatever. That's wrong as shit, they know it. Let me see, where's my other note? Oh, yeah. Where in the hell were Louise, Dave, and Kurt, the comic relief of the first two films? Where the hell were they at? Do you know how much better this film would have been if Michael Pena would have given a recap at the beginning of the movie of how things went in Endgame? I would have loved to have seen that, but what, they couldn't afford Michael Pena, they couldn't afford Tip Harris, they couldn't afford the other actor that played as the friend Kurt, can't think of the man's name right now, they couldn't afford them? No excuse. If you have the budget, you could afford to put them on there. What the hell goes with that? Another thing, I may have mentioned before, but hell, I mention again. Kang was too serious of a villain for a silly-ass film like this. He could have been saved for maybe when well, this variant of Kang could have been saved for whenever the Fantastic Four come to the MCU, or when Loki season 2 happens. But that's about as far as we'll say with that. Jonathan Majors, perfect, flawless for that role, but just that version of Kang, or just Kang alone, to go against Ant-Man and company, man. Another thing I had a problem with, Cassie. How in the hell is it that Cassie is able to build a device to make contact with the quantum realm where she didn't go to DeVry, MIT? Hell, she didn't even go to a 2-year college, community college at that. And she knows how to make a device to make contact with the quantum realm. It's as if they're taking these young female characters and it's like, well, whatever Tony Stark did as Iron Man, these young girls could do better with no study. Bullshit. And I'm not going to even, you know what? I'm not going to even go too much into this. And my improvements, I'm just going to jump right into my improvements with this because you actually tell my frustrations with this. And it's not like Marvel's not going to listen because they're still going to stay with the same fucking formula of play everything up for laughs. Post Endgame, there are no stakes. If you have this Avengers level of threat and a guy that exists outside of space and time, don't you think you need to draw back on the joke some and focus on the seriousness of what's about to happen? Speaking of improvements, or what I want to see happen is, there's rumors that there's a 4th Spider-Man film in the works. Tom Holland's coming back as Spider-Man. There's other rumor that his Spider-Man will be front and center and play a key role, and like I said, it's just a rumor, will play a key role in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars Part 1 and 2. I'll be honest with you. No offense to Ant-Man, but I take Spider-Man, a teenager, a young kid, a young adult, a young man, more seriously than I do Ant-Man. Because, yeah, Spider-Man has his comedy to him, but he also is someone not to be taken lightly. Look at No Way Home. He trapped Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension using math. And he's supposed to be Sorcerer Supreme. That's more of a slap in the face to Doctor Strange than anything else. But if that's what they're doing with Spider-Man, that's what I want to see. Him being on the forefront. And speaking of which, if they're doing Secret Wars, I would love for them to borrow from Spider-Man the animated series when they had the Secret Wars arc in which Peter Parker had to prove himself worthy to lead a team to stop the multiverse from being destroyed. If they do that, that's cool. But at this point with Marvel, I hate to be Mr. David Downer or Negative Nathan about it, but I just don't have any high hopes of anything Marvel right about now. Because at least with the Infinity Saga, there was story building, there was character development, the setup, and culminate with Infinity War and Endgame for the first 10 years of storytelling. But right about now, I feel like they're going to make this into a friggin' jumbled mess. I mean, between now, 2023, to 2025 and 2026, hopefully somebody gets their heads out their butts and say, we have to make Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars work. You got to make it work. So in conclusion, my verdict, wait for this to come out on Disney+. The only movie, Marvel related, that I am looking forward to seeing in theaters next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Because at least, with it being silly, these are the Guardians of the Galaxy. And at least they know how to take seriousness and comedy and know how to balance it out. But in all honesty, yeah, again, like I said, wait for this to come out on Disney+, y'all. For anybody who is watching, who is maybe like my only 2 followers, or 2 of my followers that's like watching and probably commenting. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, yeah. That is my AAR of Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. So, there's that.